And she was like, "No, is this for, like, school or something? Or, like, is this, like, a
What?
song that you're, like, working on?" And I'm like, "I'm putting this out into the world." And she was like,
Oh my god.
"Oh."
Next on the Shmee Show, we have someone that I am so excited to introduce to you guys. Not only am I interviewing her today, but she will also be giving us a live performance later on. Welcome to the Shmee Show, singer, songwriter, and friend, Taylor Tote!
Hey, what's up?
How are you?
I am so excited. I'm just so excited to be here and do this with you. How are you?
I'm great. I was saying to you before that you look like an angel in heaven right now with the backlight.
You. It's jokes on everyone else. I'm so angelic, but like not
Yeah, all
really.
right. Before we get too ahead of ourselves, tell the
Yes.
audience in your own words, who is Taylor Tote?
That is a loaded question, but we will try to keep it as simple as possible. I am
Yeah.
a singer-songwriter. And touring musician. I grew up in Tinton Falls, New Jersey, and I moved to New York City when I was 23 in like early
Mhm.
2019 to go back to school. So I've been kind of like back and forth between there and everything like that. I toured with Remember Jones, which is a 12-piece soul band.
Love
I took
them.
my own band for a while around the country, which is really awesome. I dabbled in classic rock, I dabbled in pop rock and EDM and
Mhm.
everything like that.
Mhm.
A little bit of country here and there. I really kind of take pride in my like diversity as an artist, and now I'm stepping in more of like the pop realm, kind of like what you hear
Mhm.
today on the radio, like Dua Lipa, Ariana
Mhm.
Grande, even like a
Mhm.
little bit of like I Left My Heart in New York City, kind of has this like Post Malone vibe, who I like
Yeah.
love so randomly. I
Yeah.
think he's so awesome. I
Mhm.
love R&B, I love Her, I love Moonchild. So I take like a lot of inspiration from like so many different artists, so many different people, from the
Mhm.
Eagles up until, like Amy Winehouse and Adele, and people
Yeah.
today. So I've struggled a lot within my music. I've struggled a lot like within myself, but today Taylor Tote is just a very diverse artist who likes to dip their toes into everything that they can. And I think
Yeah.
that just kind of makes me like a more like well-rounded person and well-rounded
Mhm.
artist.
Oh, absolutely. Because
Mm.
one of your songs, and you know this already, I don't need to tell you that I love one of your newest songs, Multivitamin. I
Yeah.
cannot get enough of that fucking song, Taylor. I, I mean,
Yay!
I mean, I'm always texting you like, still listening to it, still listening to it. Like, oh, you hit 5,000 streams. I'm 4,000 of them. Probably not even kidding.
Love it. I'm so cool with that.
Yeah,
Totally
yeah.
love that.
Cause like that is like pop Taylor like personified.
Yeah, I seriously like that song. I was like really nervous to even release. Like I was excited. I was so excited for everyone to hear it, but I was
Mhm,
like,
mhm.
is anyone going to get it? Like is anyone going to get what I'm doing? And I still think that like a lot of people don't. And I guess that's okay. Like it doesn't it's funny when people are like, "Oh, don't care about what people think." And it's like, "Well,
Mhm.
my career kind of is based on what people think." Like, people need to like what I'm doing in order for me to be successful. So it kind of does matter. But like, I was like, I don't know if people still get it, but as long as they
Mhm.
like it and they're into it, that's like really, really awesome.
Yeah. Do you think that helped the launch of the follow-up single of I Left My Heart in New York City? Because I even feel like that is generating a lot of streams lately too.
Yeah, I think it definitely helped. I think that um well, I guess kinda going back to, like, my 21-minute drive EP, which I released in March,
Which we'll talk about in a
that was
second, by the
really
way, because
yeah,
obsessed.
I'm so excited to go into that for sure, but that was kind of like the launch of, my, like, pop sounds. Like, I had done some pop stuff
Mhm.
before, but that was, like, collaborations, whereas, like, no, this is who Taylor Tote is now, and, like, get used to it,
Mhm.
people. Like, this
Mhm.
is what you're gonna be looking, forward to. And
Yeah.
Multivitamin was, like, still pop, but, like, still different from 21 Minute Drive, and it was the same thing with I Left My Heart
Totally.
in NYC, where, like, it was still pop, but still different from Multivitamin. So I'm still
Mhm.
trying to show my diversity within even like my pop sound and like the things that I'm doing
Yeah.
within that. But I think that the Multivitamin definitely helped I Left My Heart in NYC, which I also think now going into like the next set of releases, like all of it just kind of like helps lead into like what's next, like where is this going?
Mhm.
And
Totally.
there's a, there's a place. It's going somewhere. It's just
Yeah.
kind of all leading up to it
Mhm.
for sure.
So let's talk about something that is totally Taylor Tote, and it was your
Oh,
latest
yes.
EP, 21-minute drive. Very
Mhm.
much fuck the fuck boys. Very much don't play with my heart. You just have this like edge almost to you on that EP where I then finally, for the first time, understood who you were. Like the narrative is there and the story is told in
Mhm.
this 21-minute drive EP, which, by the way, brilliant title. I'm assuming you were probably struggling for a title and you're like, well, it's perfect for a 21-minute drive.
I love telling the story of this title of the EP because I I wanted it so badly to be
Mhm.
representative of how we created the EP in itself.
Okay.
And I
Okay.
and I and Russell, my producer, and I
Mhm.
like thought really hard and long about this. Like we were bouncing ideas off of each other
Mhm.
constantly. And I was just like it just never felt right. So basically Russell Hayden and I
Mhm.
we when we decided, okay, we're going to do an EP, we're going to do 4 songs, we basically decided that we were going to do an EP, wrote all 4 of the songs, probably even more, like a little bit more than that, because
Okay.
we were trying to get like, which one is going to be the best or
Yeah.
which ones feel the best.
Mhm.
All of this happened within a span of 3 weeks in
Wow.
January, and we were both quarantined. So, like, I
Mm.
wasn't really leaving my house, he wasn't really leaving his
Mhm.
house. So
Mhm.
and I had never recorded something at home
Mm.
ever, like, on my
Mm.
own, and I was so nervous, but Russell really helped me a lot. We were on a lot of Zoom calls, we were on a lot of FaceTime calls, doing a lot of things over voice memos, a lot of things over text, like, we were just on the phone constantly, um,
Mhm.
and we never met throughout this whole time. I mean, like, we're friends, obviously we have
No, but
met
like met
before,
together to
but, like,
produce
never
these
like,
things.
during this
Yes.
time.
Mhm.
Right, like, we just never got together, and it was just so crazy, so I
Wow.
was like, "This we need to have a title to this EP." Like, I don't want it to have anything to do with COVID. Please, for the
Mhm.
love of God, nothing to do with COVID,
Yeah.
because that
Yeah.
will drive me nuts, and then
Uh-huh.
also,
Uh-huh.
but
Quarantine
just something
love. Like
about.
fuck that.
Yeah, right, right, like quarantine sessions, right? Like, no, 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 no. And so we were kind of playing with like, and when you record voice memos, I don't know how many people actually use their voice memos, but
Mhm.
your voice memos now they pop up as like where you are. So it pops up as an address or something
Oh,
like that
interesting.
when you
Okay.
record it. Yeah. So a lot of times like my address comes up if I'm at my house, or like Russell's
Mhm.
address will come
Mhm.
up if he's at his
Mhm.
house. But
Mhm.
sometimes
Mhm.
like, if you're walking around Red Bank, like sometimes I record melodies in my car or while I'm walking
Mm.
around town or in the city. So
Mhm.
like the names of things just like kind of pop up. So even like Pine Brook Deli is right by like where my parents live in Tinton Falls.
Okay.
So like Pine Brook sometimes would come up, and he's like, "Why don't we call it the Pine Brook Sessions?" And I'm like,
Like what the fuck? Yeah.
"No, like I don't know." And then I was like, "What about like voice memos?" And he was like, "Charlie Puth has voice notes." And I'm like, like
Mm.
I'm just trying to find different things, and then there were so many ideas, and then I think it was Russell's sister who said, like, "Why don't you call it 6 feet apart?" And I didn't hate it, but it still
But
felt like it had something to do with COVID, and I was and it
yeah.
did like, that's the 6 feet apart thing, like, social distancing, all this, I'm like, "No, like, that's not right," but I liked the idea, and I said, "Well, realistically, Russell and I were more than 6 feet apart. We were
Yeah.
miles apart." And so I looked up the address, like my
Uh-huh.
address to his address, and it was 17 miles or a 21-minute drive. And I was like, Do we wanna
Mhm.
call it, 17 miles apart or 17 miles away? Do we wanna call it
Uh-huh.
21-minute drive? And, like, that was it, like, we were just like,
Yeah.
21-minute
Yeah.
drive is, like, really,
Yeah.
really cool, and I was so hoping that the EP would, like, end up coming out to be 21
I
minutes because that would just
know.
be so awesome.
I know.
But it didn't work out that way, but that's
How
really, like,
long
that's
is
where it
it?
comes from.
Like,
I
how?
think
Because
it's
it
13. I think it's
okay,
13
okay.
minutes. Yeah.
Okay, okay. I knew because I think when I listened to it, I was like, that wasn't 20 minutes. I was like, I think that was 16 minutes. And I was like, pretty close. Okay, whatever. We'll just round up. It's fine.
Yeah, right, yeah. 13, 21, like, it's close, right?
So funny. But so let's talk about the songs on that EP.
Mhm.
A lot of your songs have this point of view of either men don't appreciate who I am, or it's men make me feel like I'm fucking crazy and make me feel like I am like garbage. Which I'm like, girl, been there, done that 1,000 times over. My therapist knows that about me very well. But
Yeah.
so is it therapeutic for you to write these songs to get it out of your system? Or has it become something where now it's like, sure, yeah, it's obviously easy therapy, but it makes great songs. So I'm just going to run with this emotion and be done with it.
Yeah, no, all of the above. It's
Okay.
definitely very therapeutic for me to write songs, and I don't know, like, I have a lot of anxiety. I am, like, a very
Mhm.
big mental health advocate, and, like, I don't,
Mhm.
like, feel afraid or, like, ashamed to, like, let people know, like, I'm going through a hard time or, like,
Mhm.
this is the way this situation makes me feel, and,
Mhm.
I I don't know, I guess there's, like, a sense of therapy also in me that feels good when, like, I write a song and people are hearing that and they know, like, this is not just a song, like, this is something that
Yeah.
Taylor is going through and this is real. And
Mhm.
I don't know, I'm like an open book. Like, I don't there's a lot of things that I don't really care to share with the world, and I don't
Mhm.
think that, like, I don't know. I that's just how I am. So I feel like it is therapeutic for me. Like, I'll write songs and I just like to post them on my story, or like now I'm posting them on TikTok. And everything I write is like 100% always something that I'm going through. And I do write a lot about love. I do write a lot about heartbreak because that's what I
Mhm.
feel like as a 26-year-old who's like trying to like find somebody to like spend my life with. That's just what I'm going through right now, and that's how I feel, and that's kind of just, like, very prevalent and present in my life. But also in terms of, like, dating, so, like, atypical was something that I wanted to write about being like, "I know I'm cool, I know I'm great, so, like, why do I feel like no
Mhm.
one else, like, appreciates that?" And it was kind of less about, like, a particular guy, but just kind of like something in general, like, what is it?
Mhm.
Like, what is that
Yeah.
thing?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Mhm.
yeah, so
Mhm.
I and then same thing kind of with like Flawless. Like Flawless was just very like imposter syndrome. Like I work hard, I got all these places on my own, but then
Yeah.
also like
Yeah.
that sense of like I work really hard, but like is someone gonna see eventually that like maybe I'm just not as good as like people think that I am, or like
Yeah.
people gonna see through me eventually and all that
Mhm.
stuff. And then like low key stress too was I had like gone on a couple of dates, I think, with this guy.
Mhm.
It was like kind of during the pandemic. It was like when it was not so bad, and we would, or we didn't like really go on dates, but we would like see each other out, or like we would like hang out, and like
Yeah.
nothing ever really happened. But it was one of those things where I felt like I was really stressed. Like I get really scared to see this guy because I just thought he was so attractive and just so
Mhm.
cool and everything like that. And there would be times where we would be at a bar and my friends would be like, you're like really cool right now. Like, if anything, like he seems like he's not cool. And I was like,
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
am freaking out. Like, I am sweating and I have agita. Like, I need to like get out of here. I feel like a crazy person. And they
Yeah.
were like, that's my friends were like, "That's bizarre because you literally seem so cool right now." And I
Mhm.
was
Mhm.
like, "I'm low key stressed as hell." And that's kind of where that kind of came from because
Mm.
like I really
Mm.
was so anxious and I think that's how I get like, low-key stress is, like, kind of how I get in, like, every, like, situation, like, when I'm with somebody that I like or I meet somebody that I
Mhm,
like, I'm always constantly worried about what they
mhm,
think about me, and I think that has
mhm.
a lot to do with just, like, my anxiety and, like, my mental state in general. So I guess it's, like, it's kind of about both. Like, I definitely
Okay.
wrote this EP about, like, what I was going through mentally, but also, like, I guess the struggle of, like, I wanna get out there and date, but I can't because we're in a pandemic, and that's
Yeah,
frustrating too, and then I
yeah.
finally, like, meet somebody, and then they're just like, "Meh, next."
I know,
I'm like,
yeah.
"Excuse me, I'm
I'm
really
fucking
great."
Taylor Tote.
Yeah, but then also selfish is not about a guy. I mean, I guess it's about a guy, but it's not about, like, a guy that I was, like, in love with or seeing or anything or
Totally,
dating.
yeah.
It's actually about one of my, like, closest friends who,
Mhm.
kind of
Dana?
like
No. Yeah.
Dina. No, it's about one of my closest friends who, like, I'm not really friends with anymore, um, and I was, like, really upset and, like, really hurt, and
Okay,
I still am.
yeah.
But that song is, like, where that came from, and that kind of, like, all
Mm.
happened during COVID. So, and I think that that song is cool in the sense that you can relate that to a relationship if that's how you're feeling or if that's what
Mhm,
you're going through, but
mhm.
also, like, for me, that was about a friendship
A
gone
platonic
south.
friendship, yeah, yeah. Which it's so rare. It's so rare for women to sing about things. I mean, again, a lot of these women in my mind are part of big record companies that are probably pushing them to have a narrative that they don't want to share, like about men. Like, come on, I can sing about more things than men because women are
Yeah.
more than just a man. So it's exciting. So
Yeah.
even Multivitamin, I never have listened to that song and thought about you singing about a guy. It's about you. And I think that's why I love that song
It's
so much
yes.
is like I'll be on the fucking subway. I'm like going around New York City doing my thing in the grocery store, and it's like Sam's song for me. I'm like I'm feeling myself, and that's why I love that song so much because it has no affiliation with anyone else. Like if I were to like
Right.
associate that song with someone one day, and then like we have a falling out, I'll like, never be able to listen to that song again. Multivitamin, I'm like it's on me, and I love that song, and I love the girl that wrote that song.
Yes.
So this is a
Yes.
fucking jam.
Mhm. Yeah, no, multivitamin is, like, totally about self, and it's totally about,
Mhm.
like, taking care of yourself. Like, I was like, "Alright, if you wanna associate it with taking, like, actually literally taking multivitamins, sure."
Yeah.
Like, totally, like,
Could you imagine
if
someone
you're multivitamin if you're but, like, multivitamin is a metaphor for, like, doing all of the things that you feel like
Mhm,
you have to do to, like, be your
mhm,
best self and, like, take
mhm,
care of yourself.
mhm.
And if your, metaphorical multivitamin includes taking literal multivitamins, then hell yeah, like, why not? It
Yeah.
was so funny, like, when I first showed my family the song, like, when it was,
Okay.
like, really rough or whatever, I was like, "You guys wanna hear
Mhm,
this? This is so crazy." And, I was playing it for my family or whatever,
mhm.
and my one sister goes, "Is this a real song?" And I was like, "What do you mean, is it a real song? Like, I'm playing for you right now." And she was like, "No, is this for like school or something? Or like, is this like like a
What?
song that you're like working on?" And I'm like, "I'm putting this out into the world." And she was like,
Oh my god.
"Oh." And then my other sister Amanda's like, "No, I really like it. Like it's really good." And then Ashley, the sister who was like, "Is this a real song?" She was like, "I just don't think I'd listen to a song about multivitamins, like taking my multivitamins." And I was like, "Ashley, it's
It's
a metaphor." And I was like, "Are you listening to the lyrics?" And even Amanda's like, "Are you listening to what I'm saying?" And she's like, "Oh, I guess I have to like listen more. I'm not like sitting here
oh
telling you to
my
take your
god.
vitamin
Yeah.
B12 and like listing all the like vitamins and their benefits and everything like that."
But
And I was just like, "All
say
right, so that's where this is going."
I will say that Flintstone vitamins are gonna be missing out on a sponsorship opportunity if they do not reach out to
Hey,
you,
I know. I mean,
right? Let's make it
that's the
happen.
thing too. Like I'll sponsor, some multivitamin companies too. Why not?
I
Reach out
know.
to me. Hey.
So question, a little
Mhm.
off the cuff, but if you weren't a musician, singer, songwriter, like what would you do with your life? Because I'm always fascinated with people like us in the industry. Like, what the fuck would we be doing if we weren't doing this?
So so this is something that is like kind of shifted and changed a lot. But when I was in high school, I
Mhm.
really wanted to be a forensic scientist. I've always been into like detective work. I've always been into
Love
like
that.
how you solve crimes. I think
Love
it
that.
is the most basic white girl thing ever, but like obviously I love my crime shows. But
Yeah. Yeah,
I
yeah,
can't
yeah.
watch those fictional shows. Like maybe sometimes I'll watch the
CSI.
fictional stuff, but like very rarely. Like I love
Yeah.
like there was a series I watched called The Staircase. And it's
Oh,
so interesting.
yes!
It is like the slowest moving
Oh my god.
documentary ever in the world, but I just loved
I know.
watching like everything that they were going
Unfold.
through,
Mhm.
everything that they were doing. Like
Mhm.
I was coming up with my own thing. I was like, nope, like I
Mhm.
knew like
Mhm.
I was
Mhm.
watching this and I was like, based on all of this stuff, like I knew I was like, this guy is not guilty, like
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
And I think it's so fascinating, and
Mhm.
I just love, like, following up on crimes. I took criminal psychology in college, I took
Mhm.
forensics and anatomy in high school, like, I just was always very, very, very into it, and I actually
That's
have,
cool.
I think on my mom's side, actually my dad's side too, I like, we kinda come from, like, a family of, like, detectives and cops and everything like that, so
Oh,
I
okay.
just
Okay.
was always very like, I
Mhm.
think that was more of, like, a coincidence, but I was
Yeah.
very, like, very interested in that, so, that was something I was considering for a while, and then it kind of shifted into, nutrition, probably, I wanna say
When you wrote my
maybe,
multivitamin?
like, 6, 7 years no. No, actually, like, sorry to say, I don't take like multivitamins. I don't take supplements. Like I'm a liar, but
Yeah.
whatever. But no, I'm really into nutrition. I think that's
Okay.
also very interesting, like holistic health,
Yeah. Mhm.
and just like working out, eating right, taking care of
Mhm.
yourself, like all the things that go into that. That was something I was
Mhm.
really I went plant-based, 7 I think almost 7 years ago now, and, that was something that, like, was
Congratulations.
just very, very intriguing for me. Thank you.
Yeah.
And I love it, like,
Yeah.
it's a part of me, like, it's just, like, a part of who I am. I got a lot more
Mhm.
into cooking, a lot more into, like,
Mhm.
mindfulness and everything like that, and, like,
Yeah.
being in touch with my body and, like, what do I want to eat? But now, something that I really, really wanna do probably still not for a while, but it's definitely, I think, in my cards is to go to law school. And
Oh.
I really want to study entertainment, media, and sports law. I have always really been into like that side of the music industry. I don't know tons about it, but I want to learn more. And I also like, I always have friends that kind of like call me and they'll ask for advice. Like they'll ask about like contracts or, you know, how
Mhm.
do I handle this or how do I handle that? And I always really enjoyed that, like, I really liked when people would call me and, like, ask these questions, and it kinda made me think a little bit harder too, and I felt like
Mhm.
I understood it really well, and
Totally.
so that was something that I was like, "I think I'd be a really kick-ass lawyer,"
Yeah.
and I just think it's so fascinating, and everyone's like, "You're insane, that sounds awful," and I'm like, "No, like, I'm kind of excited," like,
Mhm.
I'm excited to go to law school, and, I just love to learn. So,
Same.
yeah, so I'm that's something that I wanna do still in, like, a few years,
Okay.
because I wanna give my music a really big push. I wanna know that I have done everything that I possibly could've as an
Mhm.
artist, before I transition into, like, a new phase of my life, and I, like,
Totally.
say it like that because, like, I'm never gonna leave music behind. I'm never
No.
going to leave the performance and the songwriting, the creativity behind. I mean,
Mhm.
there's so many entertainment lawyers out there that actually like still consult on songwriting. They're still producers, they're still
Yeah.
creators. So
Yeah.
and that was something that like a lot of people told me like, well, if you're going to go to law school, like that's it. Your music career is done. And I'm
It's
like,
like,
well,
Paul,
no, it really if I
who
want
fucking makes up the
something, I
rules?
can do
What?
it, okay? Like I can do whatever I want.
Yeah.
Like no one is telling me I can't besides myself.
That's
So
insane.
I know that that's something that I wanna do. It's just because I've struggled so long with my music
Mhm.
and it's something that has
Mhm.
frustrated me for so long, I don't want to move on to something else before this is
I
done.
get
Or
it. I totally
not
get
that
it.
it's done or that it's like
Mhm.
at a point where I am like really, really satisfied and I know that
Yeah.
once I have that, then
Mhm.
that'll be the time for me to like go to law school. I have my LSAT book. I got that shit last year. Like
Love it. I love
I'm
it.
really excited. I think it's so interesting. I took law classes again, took
Yeah.
law classes in college. I
Mhm.
had to
Mhm.
for my degree. So like I mean that's like a part of it and
Mhm.
everything. But that's so now that's kind of where I'm thinking. And hey, who knows? Maybe I'll like fall in love with criminal law and I'll, still get kind of my
Yeah.
dream from high school. I can
Exactly.
consult on criminal cases too.
Totally. I am like very prone for everyone to find reinvention and integration with all of their skill sets. This show is the manifestation of me integrating all of my skill sets. So I'm all
Yeah.
here for it. I'm all here for Taylor Tote to not only be able to be the music artist she wants to be, but be able to craft together the contracts that she wants to be signed to. Cause talk about like taking over the world. Like you would know all the fucking lingo. No one would ever try to like cut you a bad deal again, knowing that you're the one who can like read that contract like no one else.
Yeah.
Right?
No, totally. That's like I wanna be able
Ridiculous.
to understand that stuff. It's so important. There are
Hmm.
so many people, like, I know my fellow artists relate, and I'm sure you could relate, being an actor and everything like that. Like,
Hmm.
there's people who wanna promise you the world. There's people who wanna give
Oh.
you everything, and there's shady people out there, and they're gonna cut you bad deals. And sometimes
Hmm.
and, like, that's the thing, though, like, the music industry has evolved so much. The entertainment industry has evolved so much. Like, 10 years ago, even maybe 5 years ago, like, people weren't getting their degrees in entertainment and music industry. That was, like, not a
No.
thing. So, like,
Hmm.
you had
Hmm.
these people who now, like the people who are teaching us had to go through it. They had to, make mistakes. They had
Yeah.
to, get bad deals. They had
Hmm.
to offer the bad deals. Like, sometimes you don't know, but
Hmm.
now you're having people who are now
Hmm.
studying this in school and being taught by people who went through this. Like, we cannot keep offering bad deals and we cannot keep taking them. So it's really
Hmm.
important for artists, I think, to like
Hmm.
really understand like what they're getting themselves into, like in all areas of the
Hmm.
entertainment world.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, and that's kind of the thing for me too. Like, I want to be an advocate for those artists that like, I went through some really bad deals. I went through some like really bad things. So like I want to be an advocate for those
Yeah.
artists or a voice for those artists who like are still coming up and learning about like what they
Yeah.
deserve and everything like that.
So question,
Mm.
what is your favorite and least favorite song of yours?
Okay. So, my least favorite song of mine. So, I listened to like my whole discography on Spotify because I want to like I wanted to hear like the songs that were coming on next and everything like that. And I feel like there were some songs I was listening to and I was like, "Oh, like they're not bad. Like they're definitely not bad
Mhm,
songs."
mhm,
But then
mhm.
there was like one song that came on and I was like, "Oh no."
What is
I
it?
think
What
it might
is
have been
it?
Crazy. I think it might have been Crazy. That might have been it. Yeah, maybe Crazy. And I think it's like it's a good song, I think, but like
Okay.
it's definitely not recorded the way it should have been recorded. Like at all. And it
Yeah.
sounds like my voice just doesn't sound great on it. And
How
I was
old
like,
were you?
oh, I think I was 18.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I was 18. I
Okay.
was 18 when I recorded it. I might have been 19 by the time it came out.
Mhm, mhm.
And those were songs that I was, like, playing regularly. That was on my first EP.
Oh, okay.
I was, like, thinking about it too. I was like, "Maybe I should, like," because my songs, like, I just don't think that they're bad, but I'm like, "Maybe I should, like, re-record these songs, these older songs that I have in a way that, like, Taylor Tote would do them now,"
Is that a
which
bad
might be
idea?
cool. It's something I've
That is
been
very
thinking
cool.
about. I was like,
Mhm,
"Maybe that could
mhm.
be really, really cool." So, yeah,
Yeah.
I think Crazy, like, what off the top of my head I can think of that's out, I think is that song, Crazy,
Okay.
my least favorite.
Okay.
And then my
What's your
favorite
favorite?
song,
Yeah.
Okay, so honestly, my favorite song is a song that's not out yet. It's coming out in September. But
Okay. Ooh, I love
that's
this.
exciting. Like that's exciting for
Yeah.
people to like, look forward to. But out of the
Mhm.
songs that are out currently, I feel like it kind of changes because I think when I can relate to it in the moment, like that's exciting for me. But I think I'm torn between like low key stressed and flawless.
Okay.
Um, I think
Okay.
like I think those are like my favorite. I think maybe low key stressed more than flawless.
Well, it's
Yeah.
perfect because that is the song you're going to be performing for us today.
Yes. I'm
I'm
so excited.
so
I'm so excited.
I'm so excited. Because and also I was gonna ask, prior, what the story behind that song is, but you already shared that with the audience, which I love. So now we all know we're gonna picture you at the bar being low-key stressed, even though you're
Yeah,
looking
right?
super, super cool that day. Is there anything about that song before you go off to perform it that you want the audience to know that you didn't share already?
I guess the only thing is that if you haven't heard the song before, I think it's gonna be I think either way, like, it's gonna be really cool. If you have heard the song
Mhm,
before, you're gonna be really,
mhm,
um, pleasantly surprised to hear, like, a new kinda, like, live rendition of
mhm,
this song on acoustic guitars. But
mhm.
also, if you haven't heard the song before, I think you're gonna get, like, maybe even, like, a more intimate idea of what the song is about too before you even
Mhm.
go listen to the recorded version. Um, that
Totally.
song is like very, very true to who I am, literally in every situation possible. Um, and so I think you're gonna learn a lot about who I am as a person, as well as just like who I am, even in dating in general. So I think
Yeah.
there's just a lot of
Yeah.
elements of me in that song for sure.
Cool. Cool. All right. Well, go get ready for your live performance, and we'll see you in a little bit.
Yes!
All right.
Yay! Can't
Bye.
wait.
All right. Well, I am so excited for this performance, but first, we're going to take a little commercial break. So go grab yourself a snack, use a bathroom, do whatever you have to do, and we'll see you guys in a little bit. Bye.